Hello folks, and welcome to Morris Park. Yeah, it looks like our fall is really moving along here. And this fall, I'm doing a little showcasing of some of my cactus and euphorbias in the greenhouse. And today I'm going to show you another one. This is Euphorbia flanaganii. This is one of the little Medusa head type euphorbias. This plant occurs in and around Cape Town, South Africa. It's pretty common there. As you see, the reason they call it a Medusa head is this grows from this reduced main stem, as you can kind of see it in the center. From a reduced main stem, and then grows all these little branches, snake-like branches, out from around it. This plant is actually a pretty easy plant as long as you follow a few guidelines with it. Being that it is a caudiciform plant, and I'll show you this down here, it's got this real fat main stem to it, and in nature this is actually buried in the ground. The thing with these caudiciform plants, if you get them too wet, they tend to rot. So the general rule on this type of a plant, on these Medusa head type plants within the Caput Medusae group, not necessarily Medusoid euphorbia, but in the Caput Medusae group, is in between waterings, let them dry out thoroughly. This plant, what will happen is these little branches here will actually wilt as it needs water. And I let this thing go totally dry whenever I go to water it. I don't want any kind of moisture or anything like that in here. I've lost a few in the past because of that, because you think, oh, I probably need some water. I'll just give it some water on a once-a-week thing or once every couple of weeks. And that's not always true for these euphorbias, as you can rot them out very easily, being that they are caudiciform euphorbia. This particular plant, right now, looks very nice. It's full of water right now, but in about 2 weeks or so, I'm going to let this thing kind of go dry. And all these little arms here will wilt and kind of shrivel up a little bit. Now when they do, I'll give it a tiny bit of water here and there in the winter, but not much. It'll have to get powder dry before I water it again. And this thing will look kind of rough through the winter because it'll get all kind of wilty and everything. But as soon as you water it, and like in the springtime when you give it that first really good watering, it all springs back to life. And you see those little bitty yellow flowers there. This thing has actually been blooming since late February. It'll bloom off and on. I'll let it dry out. It'll stop. I'll water it again, and it'll start right back up again. This has been a great little euphorbia as far as flowers. It really produces them real nicely, freely. Like I said, it's been blooming since late February. I've had this plant probably about 4 years or so. I bought this plant at the Plant and Garden Show in Springfield, Missouri, that they have every February. This has been a real nice one to grow. The thing about these, though, is when you grow these, they tend to get really thatched up and thick with these little arms toward the bottom. Now, just recently, I trimmed off a whole bunch of these little arms that were just thick on here. You couldn't even see the rocks in the bowl. They were so thick. Now, you probably ask, well, why do you do that? The reason I do that, even though it's growing all these nice, neat little branches, is because I want to keep pests down. These tend to get a lot of pests in them, like mealybugs and stuff like that, if you let them grow too many branches close to that soil, because they can hide under all that. And it's like a big haystack when these things really get going. Also, it helps reveal some of that caudex. And I like to see that caudex. Now, you'll probably notice that there's a rock over on this other side. And that's because these guys tend to lay down on their sides in cultivation, kind of look like a sea anemone or something like that. But they'll tend to lay down on their sides, and I want to keep it propped up and give it a real nice look. I believe if I could put this plant into a plant show, I'd probably have a good chance of winning something. It's a beautiful plant. This one has really been a nice one. Also with the pot that I chose for it, this nice stoneware pot, which was not originally a pot. It was a kitchen bowl, actually. And, well, you guys know me. I'll turn anything into a pot if it looks nice enough. And a lot of times my pots are these bowls and such that I pick up at, well, that's just about anywhere. And then I take my Dremel and cut a nice hole into the bottom of them, a nice smooth hole, and make them into pots. And they really look great. And it really sets this plant off. Plant almost has a little bonsai type tree look to it. If you kind of look at it like that, very nice plant, very nice euphorbia. I was glad to share this one with you. Even though this is a more common euphorbia that you can find, it is still a very cool euphorbia. Anyhow, this is Clyde Morris from Morris Park, wishing you a great day, and I hope you like this little flanaganii. Take care.